Brian Billick, my compadre from the NFL Network and NFL Media Group here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Coach?
Good morning.
Any chance Bill Belichick really did not know who won the NFC Championship game by the time that he hit the podium last night?
Oh, in his world, in his reality, probably. I mean, this guy's, I keep saying we ought to rename the Super Bowl to the New England Patriot Invitational. I mean, they've been there so many times. In his reality, probably. Is it practically possible? No. No, he knew exactly who it was.
So what do you mean in his reality? Is that an alternate fact? Is that what you're saying, Brian?
You know what great minds, great performers, what do they have? What do? They have the ability to narrow their focus and block out any and all noise beyond what it is they're focusing on. Now, that doesn't mean those things don't happen or they're not aware of them. They're able to, once they process them, okay, that serves no purpose for me right now, so I'm going to bring my mind back to the point that I have to deal with. And so he's in rare air when it comes to that.
So what is the what did he do last night, Belichick, as well as Patricia and his coaching staff, with Pittsburgh in a manner that needed to be done that other teams had problems doing? Coach?
Well, we talked about on game day first before you all came on about, and I did kind of a tongue-in-cheek way, but when you look at the main four elements, big plays, turnovers, the ability to run the ball, and success in the red zone. The point we had made was the challenge for beating a New England going into Foxborough. You got to do all those things. Typically we as coaches get up on Wednesday and say, guys, we got to do 2 out of these 4. We got to do 3 out of these 4. Well, you got to do all 4. Well, Pittsburgh did none of them. The Pittsburgh just didn't show up in terms, and you got to give New England credit for that. You talk about Belichick takes away what a team does best. He systematically denied them those 4 things, did not allow them to make that big play to get themselves going. We're not, we saw an extension of the Kansas City game, not able to get it done in the red zone as well. And they're, not having to turn the ball over. Yet they generated the big plays with the flea flicker and all that, and effective in the red zone and run the ball when they needed to. So they basically denied Pittsburgh any and all avenues to get a win in Foxborough.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you'll be hearing it, and certainly Steelers fans will say it, and Patriot haters definitely will, that they got a break, New England, that Le'Veon Bell couldn't play and wasn't himself, and obviously removing Le'Veon Bell from that offense is significant. But that said, I mean, Brady having all day to throw and Chris Hogan being open had nothing to do with Le'Veon Bell not being in the game. That said, how much do you think Bell's injury factored into the AFC Championship game?
Well, it hurt, and you got to know that Todd Haley, when he's looking down his play chart and all the times that they spread a Le'Veon Bell out and how that affects the route combination and the options, and all of a sudden now it's him not doing it. Well, they did the same thing, and D'Angelo Williams was fine. He was good and helpful, but he wasn't Le'Veon Bell. And so, yeah, that was a kick to the groin area for the play caller when it was all of a sudden, boy, you're going to take this aspect out of it. Now, I'm with you. Again, what did I say? It was going to take a collective of 4 or 5 things. That was one of them. And to not have it hurt, but it didn't affect the others in terms of what New England was able to do. So, yeah, it was classic New England Patriot, Belichick, Brady in Foxborough, championship-type football that is so, you got to go back to Baltimore in their Super Bowl run to find the last time anybody really substantially was able to go in there and do it. And what did they do? They did all the things we talked about. They ran for over 130 yards. They had Flacco had 3 touchdowns and no turnovers. They were 4 for 4 in the red zone. They did all those things that you have to do, even to have a chance. And sometimes that isn't enough. But to begin with, you got to begin with that if you have any chance of being New England in Foxborough.
Brian Billick joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk Falcons here. Obviously, many people might not know, but for me it is obvious that you've been following Falcons football for quite some time. Your brother-in-law, Mike Smith, is a former coach there who's now doing a great job down in Tampa. What's different about this team? Why is this Falcons team winning in the manner in which they're winning?
Well,
Coach?
Let's remember that championship caliber team played in the championship game back in 2013 was within 10 yards of going to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Matt Ryan in that game threw for 400 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. He took his team on a 14-play, 74-yard drive down to the 10-yard line that ran out of downs on a very questionable 4th down play in terms of the officiating. And so, yeah, that's where I made the point that Matt Ryan was going to be very comfortable in this environment because he had been there and performed brilliantly, and he basically duplicated the same game. They were up 17-0 in that game against San Francisco. Now, San Francisco was able to come back. That's a whole other issue. But so they were in very familiar territory, as was Matt Ryan, and he performed as brilliantly back then as he did this time. The difference being, and for all that we talk about Matt Ryan and the offense, and we should, because that's clearly the strength of the team, this defense has made a difference and gotten better since the beginning, even midway part of the season, and is why they are going to be a viable, combatant for New England Patriots in Houston.
All right, so then tell me, how does Atlanta beat New England in 2 Sundays? Let's start ripping the cover off this with Super Bowl 51, Coach.
Well, obviously, offensively, we know what Bill Belichick does, right? He takes away what you do best, which I always giggle at, because compared to the rest of us, we covered the decoys. We never tried to take away what you did best. But he's taken this to a whole nother level. The question is, well, what is that in Atlanta? Well, yeah, it's Julio Jones. So I'm going to take Julio Jones away from it. Yeah, but now if you're doing that, you're one-on-one with Sanu. You're one-on-one with these big tight ends. Both Hooper and Tualalo came out of it. And then the two backs that I've dubbed DC or Devontae Coleman,
nice.
Combining Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman together, they're Le'Veon Bell. They had 85 receptions and 1,500 yards rushing on the season. So they're very much a Le'Veon Bell, all but in tandem. So that's going to be the challenge for New England. Okay, we're going to take away what you do best, but it's a bit of whack-a-mole because, I'm not going to let those backs beat me. So I'm going to do, now Julio Jones is one-on-one on the outside. Well, I'm going to double and triple Julio Jones. Well, that means Mohamed Sanu is one-on-one on the backside. So that's going to, and they're up, not that they can't do it. That's the challenge for them. And then defensively for Atlanta, the challenge obviously is just that with Brady. You can't give up the big play. And where I have confidence in Atlanta, watching what they did to Seattle, it's very tough to bully the bully. And that's exactly what Atlanta did with Seattle. They out-physicaled Seattle, who had just come off 177 yards rushing against Detroit and couldn't get 34 yards rushing. I'm talking about Thomas Rolls. Mm-hmm. The physicality of this Atlanta team, to me, is the biggest thing that jumped out. And we didn't see it in the Green Bay game because they didn't need it because Green Bay couldn't run the ball. But that physicality coming out of the Seattle game is what gives me confidence if I'm an Atlanta fan as to how they might hold up against New England.
Well, in terms of a Seattle game, would viewing the film of Super Bowl 49 be helpful at all? Because Dan Quinn was a defensive coordinator for Seattle in that game against a New England team that hasn't changed very much. Obviously, Gronk will be out, but will that film be any helpful to try and give us an idea as to how the game might unfold?
Because Dan Quinn's going to draw on that. He's going to go to that, as is New England, in terms of looking, we did this well, we didn't do that well. And the Denver defense, the Atlanta defense, which has improved so much the last 5 or 6 games. I was watching your all show in the morning, and you did a nice job of showing what they were the first half of the season compared to the last 6 or 8 games. They have gotten better, but they're going to need to be a lot better because this is a pretty good offense, all notwithstanding an Aaron Rodgers who was incredibly hot, and he just couldn't keep up with Atlanta. This Denver is going to be tested. Atlanta is going to be tested. But I'd also go back and look at that championship game last year against New England and Denver, and watching the pressure that those edge rushers, and now that I've got a Vic Beasley and a Dwight Freeney coming off the edges, I might be looking at that Denver game a little bit as well.
Before we let you go, the poll question that's on our app at the Apple App Store or Google Play, or click on the link that's at the top of our Twitter account at Rich Eisen Show. Brockman, ask it. Go for it.
Yeah, Coach. Tom Brady said he wants to play 4 or 5 more years. So which quarterback would you want for the next 5 years, Tom Brady or Matt Ryan?
Wow. At some point, like we always say, Father Time's undefeated, okay? And I'm not the one to say he's there, but when you get there, that fall on, it's precipitous. It falls quick. And I have no idea where that point is going to come for Tom Brady. But a younger, healthier Matt Ryan right now would be off. And this guy is as hot can be. And given the age factor, as hard as it say, because Tom Brady, this is going to go down as the greatest quarterback of all time, just because he's got the statistics and the rings on his back in his back pocket. If you want to have that conversation, so it's hard to say right now. I'm not sure I wouldn't take Matt Ryan.
All right, Coach. Thanks for the call. We'll see you in Houston. Okay.
All right, man.
Thanks, brother. That's at Coach Billick on Twitter.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.